In the silent darkness of space, a lonely planet called Viralia floated around a dying sun. Once it was a world full of green valleys and blue oceans. Now its skies were filled with smoke and fire. The Virelians, a peaceful alien race with crystal blue skin and glowing eyes, were on the edge of extinction. For years, they had fought an endless war against the Dravok Empire, a cruel species that wanted to wipe them out. Their fleets were gone. Their weapons were broken. Their cities lay in ruins. Only a handful of ships remained, small, powerless, and scared. At the center of the chaos stood Ilaran, a young alien commander with silver hair and a heart full of hope. She looked out the window of her damaged command ship, the Zephyr Star, as enemy ships surrounded her world. The communication screens flickered with static. All defenses are down, her officer reported. Dravok forces are entering the capital city. Ilaran closed her eyes. Her hands trembled. For years her people had tried to make peace, but the Dravoks never listened. They only wanted destruction. Then she remembered something. An ancient promise written in the old Virelian scrolls. If ever our light fades, we will call upon the warriors of Earth. Earth, the legendary world from another galaxy. The humans. Stories said they were fierce protectors, warriors of impossible courage. But no Virelian had spoken to them in thousands of years. Still, Ilaran had no choice. "Prepare the signal," she ordered. Her crew looked at her in shock. "Commander, you mean the human protocol? That hasn't been used in 12 millennia. "Yes," she said softly. "If there's even a chance they still exist, we must try." The crew hesitated, then began powering the ancient beacon. The massive crystal core beneath the ship started to glow with blue energy. Waves of light spread through space, a desperate cry for help traveling faster than light crossing galaxies. As the signal launched into the unknown, the Dravok fleet closed in. Their black ships fired plasma beams, shaking the Zephyr Star. "Shields failing," someone shouted. "Hold them off," Ilaran yelled. "We only need a few more seconds." Her ship trembled violently. Fire burst across the bridge. A console exploded, throwing sparks into the air. She covered her face as smoke filled the room. "Signal sent," the technician screamed. Then everything went white. Thousands of light years away, in the Sol system, humans picked up the signal. At the massive military station Erebus Command, deep in orbit above Jupiter, alarms began to blare. Admiral Jason Hale, commander of Earth's defense fleet, rushed into the control room. "What's going on?" he demanded. "Sir, we just received a transmission, not from our galaxy," the technician said, eyes wide. "It's ancient code. It matches the old HFY Alliance encryption." Hale frowned. "HFY, that can't be right. Those archives are from before the Silence War, 12,000 years ago." The screen flickered, showing Ilaran's face, bruised, exhausted, and desperate. "To any human who can hear us," her voice said, shaky but strong, "we are the Virelians. The Dravok Empire is destroying our home. We beg for your help. You once promised you would stand with us when the stars themselves turned dark. Please, we are dying." The room went silent. Every human officer stood frozen, watching the broken alien plead for her people. Admiral Hale clenched his fists. Humanity had changed since those ancient days. They had become explorers, builders, guardians of peace. But deep down, the warrior spirit still burned bright. "Open the archives," Hale ordered. "Confirm the coordinates." "Coordinates verified, sir," replied the AI. "Distance 27,000 light-years. Estimated travel time with warp gates, 1 hour." Hale took a deep breath. "Send the word." Moments later, across human colonies and star bases, the call went out. War alarms echoed through the fleet networks. Captains scrambled to their ships. Crews loaded weapons and supplies. The words "for honor and humanity" flashed across every screen, from Mars to Titan, from the outer colonies to the deep space docks. The engines of war came alive. Thousands of ships, battleships, cruisers, carriers, and roared into formation. The largest fleet humanity had ever gathered in one place. The count reached 12,000 warships. As the fleet lined up in orbit, Admiral Hale stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Invictus. He looked out at the endless formation of ships glowing under the light of Jupiter. "Set course for Viralia," he said quietly. "Let's remind the galaxy what it means when humans answer a call for help." The bridge lights dimmed. The stars stretched into lines as the fleet entered hyperspace. At that moment, the universe held its breath. Far across the stars, Ilarin, half-conscious on her burning ship, saw something on her radar. Thousands of signatures moving fast. Her eyes widened. No, it can't be. A deep voice echoed through the comms. "This is the United Human Fleet. To the people of Virelia, you called." "We heard you," Ilarin smiled weakly. "Thank you, humans." Outside her window, the darkness of space was filled with light. 12,000 human warships, breaking through hyperspace like a wave of fire and steel. And so, the war for Virelia began. Virelia's sky burned crimson as the last defense tower fell. The Dravok warships circled the planet like hungry beasts, firing without mercy. Cities turned to ash and the cries of the dying echoed through the wind. Commander Ilarin, barely conscious, was lying on the bridge floor of her damaged ship, the Zephyr Star. Smoke filled her lungs. The power systems were dead and the lights were fading. Around her, wounded crew members struggled to stay alive. She whispered, Did anyone receive our signal?" No one answered. The ship systems were silent and the stars outside offered no hope. Her heart sank. Maybe humans were gone. Maybe no one was left to help them. She lowered her head and closed her eyes. The Dravok fleet was closing in. Their main dreadnought, the Black Fang, prepared to fire the final shot. Its commander, a reptilian creature named Vorak, hissed into the comms, "End them! Burn the planet clean." But then, the stars changed. A sudden flash of white light tore through the blackness of space. One flash, then 100, then thousands, like stars being born all at once. The Dravok ship stopped firing. Their sensors screamed. "Multiple signatures detected." Ilarin opened her eyes. Her cracked screen flickered alive. Radar signals everywhere. Her voice shook. It's them. In the upper atmosphere, 12,000 human warships exited hyperspace. Giant carriers, sleek destroyers, and silver cruisers stretched across the sky like a shining wall of metal. Their hulls glowed with blue light, each bearing the symbol of Earth, a circle with a single star at its center. From the flagship Invictus, Admiral Jason Hale stood at the command deck, eyes cold and steady. "Fleet, deploy Formation Delta. Shield the planet. Target any Dravok ship attacking civilians." Thousands of human voices answered in unison. "Aye, sir." Then the sky exploded. Human and Dravok fleets clashed in a storm of fire. Plasma beams crossed through the void. Explosions lit up the horizon like suns being born. Ilarin watched in awe as the humans moved like a single organism, fast, fearless, and deadly. Their warships were bigger, stronger, and more coordinated than anything she had ever seen. One human cruiser, Valiant Dawn, dove into the middle of the Dravok formation. Its rail cannons fired bursts of molten metal that tore through enemy armor. Dravok fighters swarmed it, but human drones burst out from hidden bays, intercepting every missile before impact. "Who are they?" whispered one of Ilarin's officers. "They fight like legends." Ilarin smiled weakly. "They are legends." Meanwhile, aboard the Invictus, Admiral Hale's eyes followed the battle on the main screen. "Target the enemy flagship," he ordered. "Let them know who they're dealing with." "Target locked," said the weapons officer. "Distance 500 kilometers. Fire the spinal cannon." The entire ship rumbled. A massive energy beam fired from the Invictus, cutting across space like a spear of lightning. It hit the Black Fang dead center, splitting the Dravok flagship into two. The explosion was so bright it turned night into day over half of Virelia. The Dravok fleet panicked. "Retreat!" one of their commanders screamed. "Retreat now!" But humanity wasn't done. The Erebus squadron chased them into orbit, cutting down fleeing ships with precision fire. The humans didn't fight for glory. They fought with discipline, like soldiers protecting family. Within an hour, the Dravok fleet was shattered. Burning wrecks drifted in orbit. The survivors fled into hyperspace. Virelia was saved. As the dust settled, Ilarin's ship drifted powerless among the wreckage. Then a bright light appeared outside, a human shuttle docking with her ship. Moments later, the airlock opened and a group of armored humans stepped through. Their suits glowed with blue energy, their visors reflecting the chaos outside. One of them removed his helmet. It was Captain Ryan Cross from the Invictus. His voice was calm but warm. "We received your call, Commander Ilarin. Humanity stands with you." Ilarin tried to stand but stumbled. "You came." "You really came," Ryan smiled. Of course. We keep our promises, he offered his hand. And she took it, her glowing fingers trembling against his armored glove. Behind them, medics rushed in, helping the injured Varelians. Outside the window, the human fleet moved across the sky like silent guardians. Ships landed, dropping relief pods and medical units. Hundreds of human soldiers began rebuilding defense posts and tending to survivors. For the first time in years, the people of Varelia looked up and felt hope. But in the shadow of a distant moon, a small Dravok stealth probe recorded everything. The arrival of humanity, the destruction of their fleet, the Alliance being born once again. Its signal traveled across the stars, all the way to the Dravok homeworld. There, deep in the dark throne chamber, Emperor Vorath watched the footage. His red eyes burned with fury. So, humans still exist, he hissed. Good, let them come. This time we will end their legend. He turned to his generals. Prepare the armada. War with humanity begins again. Back on Varelia, Ilaran stood beside Captain Ryan on the balcony of the rebuilt command base. The skies were calm again, filled with the soft hum of repair drones. She looked at the stars and whispered, "The war isn't over, is it?" Ryan shook his head. "No, it's just beginning." The camera panned to the human fleet, a wall of light standing against the darkness. And thus began the Second Galactic War, when humanity rose again to defend the helpless. The skies of Varelia had grown quiet, but silence in war was never peace. The human fleet remained in orbit, 12,000 warships standing like sentinels above the wounded world. Below, the alien city still smoked, and the cries of rebuilding filled the air. Commander Ilaran watched from the command balcony beside Captain Ryan Cross, her blue eyes reflecting the fires below. "You saved us," she said softly. "But I fear the Dravoks will return." Ryan nodded. "They will, and next time they'll come stronger." He was right. Far away, in the dark heart of the Dravok Empire, an enormous fleet was already forming. Larger, deadlier, powered by stolen technology. At its center stood the Oblivion Dreadnought, a ship the size of a small moon. Inside the Dravok war room, Emperor Vorath watched a hologram of Ilaran shaking hands with Ryan Cross. His claws dug into the table. "So the humans dare to rise again," he growled. "Last time they destroyed our ancestors. This time we will burn their worlds to dust." He turned to his generals. "Unleash Operation Eclipse. Let them see what true darkness means." Meanwhile, back on Varelia, life was slowly returning. Human engineers worked side by side with Varelian builders, raising new defense towers, hospitals, and energy fields. Children who had once known only fear now smiled at human soldiers patrolling the streets. But deep beneath the planet's surface, strange energy pulses began to stir. The humans had set up scanners to study the planet's core, and what they found frightened even the scientists. Aboard the Invictus, Admiral Jason Hale stared at the readings. Energy spikes, magnitude unknown, repeating every 4 hours. Source beneath the Varelian capital. Ryan joined him. "Could it be a weapon? Or something worse?" Hale replied grimly. Ilaran was called to the meeting. When she saw the data, her expression turned pale. "This can't be possible," she whispered. "That energy signatures, it's ancient." "What do you mean?" Ryan asked. Ilaran hesitated. "My ancestors told stories of the Star Core. It said that long ago our people used it to create life, and to destroy it. It was sealed deep under our capital because it was too powerful. If the Dravoks detect it..." Her voice trailed off. Everyone understood the danger. Admiral Hale folded his arms. "Then we protect it, no matter the cost." 2 days later, the nightmare began. At dawn, the early warning stations in orbit went silent. One by one, human satellites stopped responding. Then out of the darkness came the first attack. Massive Dravok warships emerged from hyperspace, firing beams of red energy that tore through the human blockade. "Shields up," Hale shouted. "All ships at battle stations." The calm sky exploded into chaos once again. Human and Dravok ships clashed in orbit. Plasma bolts lit up the heavens and massive explosions thundered across the night sky. Ilaran ran to the command center, her voice sharp. "They found the Star Core. They're trying to dig into the capital." Ryan's face hardened. "Then we fight on the ground." He grabbed his rifle, his armor shining under the red alarm lights. "Let's move out." Down on the surface, the battle for Virelia began anew. Dravok troops, tall, armored creatures with glowing red eyes, dropped from the sky like meteors. They hit the ground, spreading across the ruined city in tight formation. But the humans were ready. Ryan's unit, Echo Squad, rushed through the smoke-filled streets. Their weapons fired blue plasma bolts, cutting down Dravok soldiers one by one. Explosions shook the ground, dust filled the air, and the screams of war echoed through every street. Ilaren joined them, wielding her energy staff, her crystal armor shining in the flames. "They're heading for the underground tunnels," she shouted. "That's where the Star Core is." Ryan nodded. "Then we hold that line." Together, humans and Virelians formed a defensive circle near the tunnel entrance. The ground shook as the Dravoks advanced, their mechanical beasts charging forward with terrifying speed. "Fire!" Ryan yelled. The battle raged for hours. The air turned thick with smoke and heat. Human dropships roared overhead, unleashing barrages of missiles. But the Dravoks just kept coming. Ryan's ammo ran low. He glanced at Ilaren. She was bleeding, her staff cracked, but her eyes burned with determination. Suddenly, the ground split open. A massive Dravok siegewalker emerged, firing energy blasts that vaporized entire buildings. Ryan ducked behind cover. "We can't stop that thing!" Ilaren clenched her teeth. "Maybe not, but the Star Core can." Before Ryan could stop her, she sprinted toward the tunnel. "Ilaren, wait!" he shouted. She turned once, her face lit by fire and tears. "If I don't do this, we all die." Then she vanished into the depths. In the command ship above, Admiral Hale received her last transmission. Her voice was calm but full of pain. "Admiral, if you see this message, tell Ryan. Tell him thank you for believing in my people." Static followed. Moments later, the planet's surface began to glow. A wave of blue light spread across the land. Powerful, ancient, alive. The Dravok army froze. Their machines shut down. Their ships in orbit trembled. The Star Core had awakened. From space, the human fleet watched in awe as the planet shined like a new sun. Admiral Hale whispered, "Dear God." Captain Ryan stood in the ruins below, staring at the light rising from the tunnels. He didn't know if Ilaren was alive. He only knew one thing: the Star Core had saved them, but something about it felt wrong. Because as the light faded, a strange shadow spread across the sky, whispering ancient and cold. The war was far from over. Something had been awakened, something older than both humans and Dravoks. The light from the Star Core filled the sky like a new sun. Every shadow on Virelia vanished for a moment, replaced by a blinding blue glow that reached all the way to the upper atmosphere. The Dravok armies froze mid-battle. Their weapons melted, their ships lost power, and their monstrous machines shut down like dying beasts. The humans and Virelians stood together in silence, staring at the light that had saved them. But victory did not feel like victory. Captain Ryan Cross stood among the ruins, his armor cracked and smoke rising from his shoulder plates. His ears rang from the explosion that had followed Ilaren's last message. He looked toward the mountain that hid the tunnels below the capital. The ground still glowed faintly blue, like something breathing under the surface. "Ilaren," he whispered. "Please be alive." Admiral Jason Hale's voice echoed through the comms. "Captain, report status." Ryan took a deep breath. "The Dravok ground forces neutralized, sir. But Ilaren is missing. She went into the tunnels. The Star Core activated after that." There was a long pause. "Understood," Hale replied. "Return to base. We'll begin scans immediately. Something about that energy doesn't look right." Inside the Invictus, human scientists were already analyzing the data. The readings made no sense. The energy levels from the planet's core were climbing instead of falling. Dr. Lena Perez, chief scientist, stared at the hologram in disbelief. "This isn't just an energy source," she said. "It's alive. It's reacting to us." Admiral Hale frowned. "Alive like an AI?" "Not exactly," Lena said, her voice trembling. "More like a consciousness, an ancient one. It's scanning us, studying us." Hale turned to his officers. "Get me Ryan. He's closest to the source." Ryan and his squad moved through the ruins of the Virelian capital. The ground vibrated softly beneath their boots, as if the planet itself was breathing. They reached the tunnel entrance. The once sealed gates were now wide open, glowing with faint symbols in Virelian script. Ryan placed his hand against the wall. It was warm, pulsing like skin. "Commander Alarin?" He called into the comms. "If you can hear me, respond." Static. Then faintly a whisper. "Ryan." His eyes widened. "Alarin, where are you?" "I'm below," her weak voice said. "I reached the core. It's not what we thought." Before Ryan could reply, the ground split open. A massive beam of light shot into the sky. His team stumbled back as the air turned electric. From the depths of the tunnel, shapes began to rise. Massive floating shards of crystal forming a ring around the capital. "Captain, what's happening down there?" Hale demanded. Ryan shielded his eyes. "The core, it's creating something." The light condensed into a single figure, tall, radiant, and translucent like a being made of energy. It floated above the city, its voice echoing in every language at once. "We are the architects," every soldier froze. The being's voice was neither male nor female. It was calm, endless, powerful. "We built the star core to seed life across the stars. But your wars have awakened us too soon." Admiral Hale listened from orbit, stunned. "It's a creator species," he muttered. "Older than both humanity and the Dravox." The being continued, its light growing. "Brighter. The Dravox once served us. They betrayed their purpose. And now humanity stands where they once stood, the protectors or destroyers." Ryan stepped forward, shouting through the dust, "We're not destroyers. We came to save this world." The being turned its glowing eyes toward him. "All who claim to save eventually consume." The ground trembled again. The energy field spread outward, reaching space. Human ships began losing power. Systems flickered. "Admiral, we're losing control," cried an officer aboard the Invictus. Hale clenched his fists. "Shut down the reactors. Pull the fleet back from orbit." But it was too late. The star core was drawing energy from every ship in range, feeding on their power, growing stronger. Inside the tunnels, Alarin lay weakly beside the glowing crystal heart of the core. Her skin glowed faintly blue as the energy surrounded her. She could hear the architects' voices in her mind, countless, ancient, endless. She whispered, "Stop. Please, you'll destroy us all." The voice answered gently, "You carry our blood, child. You will guide them, or watch them fall." Alarin felt the power flowing into her body. Her veins shimmered like starlight. The core's light pulsed with her heartbeat. Ryan reached her just in time. "Alarin!" She turned toward him, her eyes now glowing white. "Ryan, it's inside me now." The core chose a host. Ryan's heart pounded. "Then we find a way to control it together." She shook her head slowly. "No, it's too strong. If it spreads beyond Viralia, it will consume everything, even Earth." In orbit, the human fleet struggled to maintain control. The Invictus was losing power fast. Admiral Hale slammed his fist on the console. "If that core keeps expanding, it'll pull the planet apart," Dr. Lena whispered. "Unless someone inside stops it." Hale's eyes darkened. "Alarin." On the surface, the energy storm raged. Lightning flashed across the sky. The architect's voice echoed, "Balance must return. One race must fall for the other to survive." Ryan shouted into the light, "No! We won't let either fall." He reached for Alarin's hand. "Fight it. Don't let it control you." She looked at him, tears glowing like tiny stars. "If I fail, promise me humanity won't repeat our mistakes." Ryan held her hand tightly. "You have my word." Then she turned toward the core, closed her eyes, and screamed. The light around her burst outward in a blinding wave that swept across the battlefield, through the sky and into space. When the light faded, the architect's presence was gone. The core dimmed. The planet fell silent. Ryan collapsed beside her. "Alarin." She opened her eyes weakly. "It's contained, for now." And then she fell unconscious in his arms. Above the planet, the human fleet regained power. Admiral Hale exhaled. "Signal restored. The core is stable, but deep below the surface, unseen by anyone, a single crystal shard pulsed faintly, whispering words no one could hear. This is not the end. The architects will rise again. For a short time, peace returned to Viralia. The skies cleared, the ground stopped trembling, and the star core rested quietly deep beneath the planet. Human engineers built new bases across the surface, and Virelian survivors began to rebuild their homes with hope for the first time in years. But deep within the shadows of space, far beyond any human sensor, the darkness stirred once again. The Dravok Empire had not been destroyed, only wounded. Their remaining fleets regrouped in a hidden system called Korath's Maw. The sky there was black, filled with drifting wrecks and broken moons. Inside a massive war chamber lit by blood-red fire, Emperor Vorath stood before his council. His scales glimmered under the light of molten energy as he slammed his clawed fist on the table. Virelia should have been ashes, he hissed. Yet humans came. They always come. It is time to end them, one of his generals bowed. The human fleet is strong, my lord. Their technology surpasses ours now. Vorath bared his fangs in a cruel smile. Then we steal what we cannot defeat. He turned to a dark figure standing in the shadows, smaller than the Dravoks, wearing black armor, a mask hiding its face. The voice that came from the mask was cold and familiar. I can help you, it said. The humans and the Virelians have something you want, the Star Core, and I know how to control it. Vorath's eyes narrowed. And who are you to claim that? The figure slowly removed the mask. The room fell silent. It was Commander Sarek, a former human officer who had disappeared years ago, believed dead in the Silence War. Vorath grinned wickedly. A human betraying his own kind? Perfect, Sarek's expression was blank. I don't fight for kind or planet anymore. I fight for power. The core's energy can rewrite galaxies. You want destruction, I want control. Together we can have both. Vorath leaned closer. Then you will show me how to break it. Back on Virelia, Captain Ryan Cross spent every waking hour near the medical chamber where Ilaran rested. She had been unconscious since the battle with the architects. Her body glowed faintly, and strange patterns of light moved under her skin like living energy. Dr. Lena Perez checked the readings. Her vitals are stable, she said softly. But the core's energy is still inside her. It's merged with her biology. Ryan stared through the glass. She risked everything to save us. She doesn't deserve more pain, Lena frowned. She may be the only one who can stop what's coming. The Star Core isn't sleeping, it's whispering. Ryan turned sharply. Whispering? What do you mean? Lena hesitated. Every night our instruments pick up faint energy waves, like someone trying to communicate. It's not random. It's intelligent. Before Ryan could respond, alarms blared across the base. Unidentified warp signatures, shouted a soldier. Multiple contacts incoming. Ryan ran to the command room. On the holographic map, red dots appeared one after another. Admiral Jason Hale's voice came through the radio. All units, defensive positions. The Dravoks are back! Ryan's heart sank. Already? But how? Doesn't matter, Hale interrupted. Hold the line. The skies of Virelia turned crimson again as Dravok warships dropped out of hyperspace. Their designs looked different now. Larger, sharper, pulsing with strange dark energy. The human fleet rose to meet them, forming defensive walls in orbit. Missiles and plasma beams lit up the void once more. But this time, the Dravoks had new weapons. Black orbs that exploded in silence, spreading waves of distortion that crippled human systems. Aboard the Invictus, Admiral Hale gritted his teeth. Those aren't standard Dravok weapons. That energy, Dr. Lena interrupted, horrified. It's the same frequency as the Star Core. Ryan's blood ran cold. They've tapped into it. Somehow. On the ground, Ilaran suddenly awoke. Her eyes flared with light. The machines around her beeped wildly. Ryan rushed to her side. Ilaran! Easy, you're safe. She grabbed his hand, her voice trembling. No, Ryan, you don't understand. They've corrupted the core. Someone is feeding its power to the Dravoks. Ryan froze. But how could they? Through the architect's code, she said quickly. It's in my blood, but someone else must have accessed it. Someone who understands human encryption. Ryan's face hardened. A human? Ilaran nodded weakly. Yes, one of yours. Before they could speak again, the base shook violently. Explosions rippled across the horizon. Hale's voice came over the comms. The enemy is using gravity bombs. We're losing ships fast. We need to shut down their energy source before they rip this planet apart. Ryan helped Ilaran to her feet. Can you locate the corrupted link? She closed her eyes. The glow from her skin pulsed brighter. Yes. It's coming from space, from a Dravok ship near their command carrier. Ryan gripped his weapon. Then that's where I'm going. Ilaran grabbed his wrist. You can't go alone, he smiled faintly. I won't. You're coming with me. Minutes later, their shuttle blasted off, weaving through enemy fire toward the Dravok fleet. The sky was chaos, burning ships, flashing plasma, streaks of light cutting through smoke. Inside the shuttle, Ilaren looked pale but determined. That energy, I can feel it. It's calling to me. Ryan glanced at her. Stay strong. We'll shut it down. When they approached the enemy flagship, sensors identified the ship's ID code, and Ryan froze. Impossible, he whispered. That's a human code. Fleet registration Sarek-09. Ilaren's eyes widened. You know him? Ryan's jaw tightened. He was one of us. Now he's the traitor feeding the core to them. As their shuttle prepared to dock, a shadow fell over their ship. The massive Dravok flagship, glowing red like a dying star. Ilaren took a deep breath. This isn't just another battle, Ryan. It's the beginning of something far worse. He nodded grimly. Then we end it before it begins. Outside, the stars turned blood red as the corrupted energy of the Star Core pulsed through the Dravok fleet. The war for the galaxy had entered its darkest phase. The human shuttle drifted through the wreckage of burning ships, dodging red plasma fire as it closed in on the massive Dravok flagship. The vessel loomed ahead like a floating fortress, black metal, alive with pulsing red veins of energy stolen from the Star Core. Inside the shuttle, Captain Ryan Cross adjusted the controls while Ilaren sat beside him, her glowing eyes fixed on the monstrous ship. The energy feels wrong, she whispered. It's twisting the core's power, feeding on fear, on death. Ryan's jaw tightened. Then let's rip it out of their hands. He switched off the engines, letting the shuttle drift silently toward one of the ship's maintenance bays. We go in quiet, he said. No mistakes. Ilaren nodded, clutching her staff. The faint blue light from her skin dimmed as she focused, suppressing the Star Core energy that flowed within her. The docking clamps latched. The shuttle hissed as the airlock opened. Ryan and Ilaren slipped into the dark corridors of the Dravok flagship. The halls were cold and alive with strange hums. Glowing red symbols pulsed on the walls, ancient Dravok runes mixed with human data code. Ilaren frowned. They've merged human and Dravok systems. Whoever did this knows both perfectly. Ryan's expression darkened. Sarek. They moved deeper into the ship, stepping over broken machinery and dead Dravok soldiers, their bodies drained of life, their eyes empty and black. What happened to them? Ilaren whispered. Ryan crouched beside one. They looked hollow, like their life energy was sucked out. The core, Ilaren said softly. It's feeding on everything now. They reached the main chamber, a giant circular room with a glowing red sphere suspended in the air. It pulsed like a living heart, tendrils of dark energy stretching across the ceiling. At its center stood a man in black armor, facing away from them. Sarek, Ryan called out. The man turned slowly. His helmet retracted, revealing a pale face marked with scars and cold gray eyes. I knew you'd come, he said calmly. You always were predictable, Ryan. Ryan raised his weapon. You betrayed humanity. You sided with monsters, Sarek smiled faintly. Monsters? You think the Dravoks are the only monsters in this galaxy? Look at us, Ryan. Humans destroy, conquer, enslave, then pretend to be heroes. Ilaren stepped forward. You're using the Star Core's energy to destroy life. You'll doom every planet it touches. Sarek's eyes glowed faintly red. You don't understand. The core isn't just power, it's truth. It was never meant to be locked away. The architects built it to choose the strongest, and now it's chosen me. He spread his hands and the red energy pulsed brighter. The air around him shimmered. With this power, I'll rebuild the galaxy. No weak species, no endless wars, only order. Ryan clenched his fists. That's not order. That's control. Sarek tilted his head. Funny, isn't that what humans always wanted? The ground shook violently. The red sphere expanded, filling the room with heat. Alarms blared. Ilaren's staff glowed blue as she struggled against the pull of the core. He's linking his life force to it. If he completes the bond, the core will fall completely under his control, Ryan shouted over the roar. Then how do we stop it? Ilaren's voice trembled. The core reacts to emotions and to willpower. If I can reach it before he seals the bond, I might break the connection. But it could kill me. Ryan shook his head. No way, we'll find another way. She looked at him sadly. You don't understand, Ryan. I am part of the core now. I can feel its pain, its confusion. It doesn't want this. It just needs someone strong enough to guide it. Sarek raised his hand and red lightning shot across the chamber, striking Ilaran. She screamed, collapsing to her knees. Ryan fired back, his plasma rifle blazing, but the bolt stopped mid-air, caught in Sarek's energy field. You can't kill me, Sarek said coldly. I'm beyond human now. Ryan dropped his rifle, breathing hard. Then maybe I'll remind you what it means to be human. He charged forward, slamming into Sarek with full force. They crashed into the control platform, sparks flying. Ryan's armor cracked, Sarek's hand closing around his throat. You were always weak, Sarek snarled. Ryan forced out the words. Maybe, but weakness means we feel. He grabbed the power conduit beside them and jammed it between them. Electricity surged through both men, throwing them apart. The core pulsed violently, reacting to the chaos. Ilaran, trembling, saw her chance. She crawled toward the center of the chamber and placed her hand on the core. Please, hear me, she whispered. You were made to give life, not take it. The core's color flickered, red turning to blue, then back again. Sarek screamed as the energy around him began to fade. No, he shouted. It's mine. He lunged toward her, but Ryan tackled him mid-air. The two men fell into the glowing light of the core's energy field. The room exploded in a burst of blue fire. When the light faded, the chamber was silent. Ilaran opened her eyes slowly. The red energy was gone. The core glowed a soft blue once more. She looked around. The platform was shattered. Ryan lay nearby, unconscious but alive. Sarek was gone. Only his cracked helmet remained, floating in the air before turning to dust. Ilaran crawled to Ryan, touching his shoulder gently. You did it. We did it. His eyes opened weakly. Did we stop him? She nodded. For now. But the core, it still remembers him. His will is buried inside. If it ever awakens again, Ryan smiled faintly. Then we'll face it, together. She smiled back, tears shining in her eyes. Together. In orbit, the Dravok fleet began collapsing. Without Sarek's control, their systems failed. The humans moved in, capturing survivors. Admiral Hale's voice echoed through the comms. The core is stable again. Good work, Captain. Bring them home. But far beyond the battlefield, in the blackness of space, a faint red spark drifted, the last echo of Sarek's consciousness, whispering softly, You can't destroy order. I will return. The war was over, or so everyone thought. Weeks had passed since the destruction of the Dravok flagship. The skies of Viralia were calm, glowing with the gentle blue light of rebirth. Human ships floated above the planet, working with the Virelians to rebuild. For the first time in centuries, peace felt real, but deep inside the planet's core, something ancient still stirred. The star core pulsed slowly, its once blue glow now mixed with faint traces of red. A heartbeat caught between light and shadow, and far away in the void of space, a whisper echoed across the galaxies, a voice once thought dead. You cannot erase order. You can only delay it. Sarek's will had survived. Inside the human flagship Invictus, Admiral Jason Hale stood at the viewing deck. He looked down at Virelia's surface where life was returning, and sighed. Every time we think we've won, the universe finds a new way to test us, he murmured. Behind him, Captain Ryan Cross entered the room. His armor was repaired, but scars still marked his face. Beside him walked Ilaran, her eyes now glowing faintly, softer, calmer. Hale turned to them. How's the planet? Ilaran smiled faintly. Alive, the core is stable again, but it's dreaming. It keeps sending visions, images of stars dying, galaxies burning. Hale frowned. Dreaming? Ryan nodded. She means it's warning us. Lena Perez, the scientist, joined them holding a data pad. She's right. The star core's energy levels are changing again. It's awakening, but not alone. Something else is coming from deep space. Dravox? Hale asked. Lena shook her head. No, something older. Ilaran closed her eyes. The architects? That night, the stars above Viralia flickered. Then, without warning, the sky split open. Massive shapes appeared in orbit. Colossal constructs of light and stone, their designs more beautiful than anything human or alien had ever built. Each one glowed with golden energy. The architects had returned. Their voices echoed across every comm, every mind, every world in range. We have awakened. The balance is broken. The core has been touched by corruption. Judgment must begin. Panic filled the fleet. Hale shouted, "All ships to defensive formation. Do not fire unless fired upon." But the architect's ships did not fire weapons. Instead, beams of light reached down to the surface of Virelia, scanning every life form. Ryan and Alarin stood outside the command center, watching as the beams passed over them. The air shimmered and a massive hologram formed, a being of pure light, tall and majestic, eyes like stars. "Ilarin of Virelia," the voice spoke. "You carry our essence, yet you have bonded with a human. This defies the design." Ilarin raised her chin. "Designs can change. We fought to protect life, not to destroy it." The being's light flared. "The human named Sarek has tainted the core with chaos. His essence remains within. It must be cleansed even if the world is lost." Ryan stepped forward, defiant. "You can't destroy a planet to fix a mistake." "We created the stars," the being said calmly. "We can extinguish them." The ground trembled. The core beneath Virelia began to react, its light turning white-hot, burning through the crust. The entire planet started to shake. Alarin grabbed Ryan's hand. "If they unleash their cleansing beam, everything will die. Humans, Virelians, everyone." Ryan looked at her desperately. "Then we stop them." She hesitated. "To stop them, I must merge completely with the core. If I do that, I won't come back." Ryan froze. "No, there has to be another way." She smiled softly. "You once told me humans fight for what they love. Now let me do the same." He held her hand tighter. "Alarin, please." She touched his face gently. "Promise me you'll protect what comes after." His voice broke. "I promise." The ground cracked open. Blue-white energy surged upward. Ilarin stepped toward the light, her body glowing brighter with every step. "Ilarin," Ryan shouted. She looked back one last time, smiling through tears. "Goodbye, Ryan." Then she vanished into the light. The sky exploded. A wave of pure energy burst from the planet's core, spreading across space. It struck the architect's ships, blinding them. Instead of destruction, the light spread calm, merging healing. Ilarin's voice echoed through the stars. "No more war. No more judgment. Let there be balance, not through fear but through understanding." The architect's ships stopped firing. One by one they began to fade, their golden light softening. "The child is chosen," the voice of the architect said. "So shall it be." The cycle ends, and then they were gone. Silence fell, the planet's shaking stopped. The core's light dimmed to a soft, peaceful glow. The skies cleared, and the first sunrise in years painted the horizon gold. Ryan fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. "She did it," he whispered. "She saved us all." Admiral Hale's voice came through the comms. "The architect fleet is gone. Energy readings are stable. We're safe." Ryan looked toward the dawn, whispering, "No, we're alive because of her." Weeks later, a memorial was built in the center of Virelia's capital, a shining crystal statue of Ilarin, holding a sphere of light in her hands. Ryan visited every morning. He would stand quietly, remembering her voice, her courage, her final smile. Dr. Lena approached him one day. "The core is peaceful now, but sometimes when we scan it..." She hesitated. "We hear her voice, we're faint like an echo." Ryan smiled softly. "She's still here, watching us, guiding us." Hale joined them, placing a hand on Ryan's shoulder. "You know, history will call this the final dawn. The day humanity and Virelia stood together, not as conquerors or saviors, but as family." Ryan looked up at the rising sun. "Then let's make sure it's not our last dawn." Epilogue. Far away, beyond the edge of known space, a single red spark flickered among the stars. Faint, but alive, and a whisper followed, soft and cold. "Light cannot exist without shadow, and I am patient." The camera slowly zoomed out, revealing the endless galaxy, glowing with hope and danger, waiting for the next chapter. The end. Aliens called for help. 12,000 human warships showed up. HFY, Sci-Fi saga message. Even across galaxies, courage, unity, and sacrifice can light the darkest stars.